Welcome back to Case Closed, Anime Review Episode 132. This is the 1020th episode of the series. Yes, seriously, 1020. The Entry Tray Can't Be Hidden Part 3. Yes, the tray is basically an antique plate. That's what these are. They refer to them as liquor trays, which when I look at them, they look like plates. That's just my opinion, anyways. But it's Japan. I'm not going to argue with Japan. So, in this episode, we kind of solve a few things while setting up something that still has not been explored thoroughly yet. Like, they actually have some. Now, this episode does that from the rest, chapter 1037, and goes through the entirety of chapter 1038. So, as you can expect, they do wrap up this case this episode. Interesting, though, that it took 3 episodes to cover a 4-part story arc. Now, if it was any other anime covering an arc that was this short, they probably would cover it in just 2 episodes. Not usually 3, but it's case closed. What do you expect? So, they do have a thing with housekeepers. Excuse me, where they receive a partial. Now, you're probably thinking, what is a partial? It's another name for a package. That's just an alternate term of it. I don't really know if, in fact, the Japanese use that. It's just basically just a special package. That's what it is. And what is inside of it? The kind of one of the reasons why that Conan and the group came there was because that Agasa had sent this particular, like, what looks like to be a sake cup. Yes, a sake cup that was cracked. Sent to praise to praise it. This is the same one that he found in his uncle's house. That was shown way back in an episode that aired back in 1989. Yep. Of course, it's very little bit of a super what the lettering is. It's revealed the whole thing with this is that his uncle accidentally broke it, and he was fixing some glue on it, and he put some like special sealant on it in order to cover it up. And just remind himself that he did this, and if in fact your relative found out he did this, he would receive a scolding for this. That's simple, just to that. But as for the trays themselves, well, they kind of figure out though that the best way to determine it. I mean, aside from the fact that, they try again with the whole pointing to, they kind of look at like the clock, and they kind of treat the plate like an actual clock to collect beak. That the way it was facing was at 1:30. And if you face the bake, and it turns out the person who had the real one, was the younger of the 3. The one, I think his name was Sojima. Yeah, he had the real one, and he was the one who technically killed the person. It's like, how? And of course, the point he's stubborn. Yeah, and it's easily figured out though how he was the one to kill him, because it's so obvious the fact that he killed him. Of course, Conan points out though that the lady and the old man don't have necessary strength to lift up something like a freaking spear, while the other guy there can lift no problem. And I'm sure McGuire's like, that makes total sense. The fact it was him. And they also figure out though that they actually swapped. And here's the interesting thing. They do figure out who had the real tray. It was the old man. All along. Yep. How? The inside of the box the tray was kept in had blood on it. Whoever had the blood on it, which from the viewer's perspective, we already know it's the old man's. Just basically just trying to wait for the reveal. And yep, it's the old man's. Oh yeah, and the reason why that the younger guy did this was because that he was using the money to sell this particular thing to pay for his daughter's surgery. It turns out they were technically not fakes, they were studies on the real one. Yep. And of course, the old man agreed to lend out to the museum probably for the brochure. And he just, can you do it for discount price? And he doesn't say much anything else about that. And of course, like with that wrapped up, they also kind of reveal how they figured aside from the fact he's the obvious one who lifted the spear. Well, they kind of figure out, but he mentioned something that he probably should have mentioned with a particular sound, and relates to hearing aid, which is another reason why they came here. Now, the heir two probably didn't know beforehand that his hearing aid was malfunctioning. He figured it out because the appraiser told him, and then he killed him. Yep. And that, of course, the whole thing ended to remember, but they figured it out really easily. And I like the fact that all the people there, except for Gossa, got a chance to contribute to this case. That was actually really good on them. And then, of course, well, Conan figures out, though, that she's part of MI6, which their revelation was actually from chapter 1037, and they put that in this episode after the case wrapped up, instead of like during it. Where we kind of figure it's because the whole phrase of Sister Territory, that was the phrase they used many cases back, per se. And you take out the rest of the word, SIS, Secret Intelligence Service, aka MI6. And the whole thing with that is test if she could be a potential ally for him. And then after they finish up there, they go back to Gossa's house, where Masumi just rides on home. That she will be back as off. It won't be back on a regular basis, but she'll be back often. And Subaru will keep an eye on her. And of course, Conan basically kind of figures out, though, that Mary took the drug, but was trying to confirm it with Subaru about it. And then we cut to Mary and Masumi, where Mary asks Masumi, "Did you get the drug?" It's like, "Not yet. We actually have some interference. A graduate who lives next door." And I also mentioned about the phrase 50-50. Where'd you get that phrase? Where'd you learn that phrase from? Your father. And I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense, him saying that phrase. And apparently she suspects it because Subaru said something that possibly he probably should have said. 50-50, you're at fault. Yep. I gotta say, really good episode. The whole antique tray thing, I thought that was just okay. I thought it was kind of interesting. I think the conclusion of this was actually pretty good, even from the manga perspective. I think that probably the best thing about this three-parter is Masumi's character development, like exploring a little bit more of her backstory. And in case you're curious, though, like, when does she actually return to the series? Well, not for some time. No, not really. Yeah, her next official case she appears in is not the next meeting case. No. Her next case, she actually appears in like one more case after this, and it's sister birthday party murder case. That happens like 9 chapters after this one, and that's also 4-parter as well. And that was by far her most recent appearance today. As far as I can tell, when it came to the manga itself, excuse me, that who knows when she can make a return. She can return even next case that airs like next month. Yep. Yeah, the next case is going to be coming out October 13th, which is not next week per se. I think it comes out in just a couple weeks. Yep, 2 weeks this week. Yep, 2 weeks from now, that's when the next case will come out. But who knows how long it's going to last, because the last case was only 3 chapters. Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed, though. For the last, 4 cases, there have been 3 chapters per week. I'm hoping this arc is a little bit longer than 3 chapters this time. I hope so. Excuse me. Before I end this video, I do have a minor announcement. Well, it's kind of basically a big one. Because of the fact that how a real estate revealed the kingdom, since that particularly ended this first season yesterday, since that ended and a week prior we had the ending of the case study of Antaeus Cur 1, the week prior. Saturday has been officially reduced for now until January, down to just one show. So probably won't see this particular review done on Sundays, purely because I'll be able to do it on Saturdays, no problem. Because I won't have any interference and hopefully it won't be done late. It's only just one show and that's it. Yep. But in the case of Sundays, however, like after next week, it'll be reduced down from. It actually will be increased to 5 shows next week. Yeah, 5 shows. That's a lot of shows for next week. And in the case of the following week, it reduced to 4. And then 2 weeks from, actually about 3 weeks from this week, it will reduce down to 3. And it'll be like that for a while until December. Yep. So, until this next video, which will be Boruto. Bye.